Now is the perfect time to start your fall vegetable garden. When we take a look at our fall vegetable garden, we need to make sure that we have adequate amount of space to plant these crops. When we go to the garden center, we want to pick out crops that are about 60 days or so till harvest for those tender crops, and you can get a little bit longer window for those cool season crops. So some of the tender crops are like your beans that you can still plant. Some people are actually planting basil right now. Some of the cool season crops that you can actually do a second crop with right now are going to be your Swiss chard, your beets, your spinach. You can actually do some lettuce, peas, and then radishes. So those are some of the cool season crops. When you go to the garden center, on some of the packets, it will actually tell you when you can put in the spring crop and when you can put in the fall crop. And so you want to read on there to make sure that you're following all those label instructions on there. When it comes to fall vegetable gardening, you want to make sure that you plant the seeds a little bit deeper than what's recommended on the package. And the reason for that is right now the soils are warmer than normal, so that gives you a little bit of extra time to let those seeds germinate. Also, you can put them a little bit closer together than what's recommended on the seed packet. And again, the soils are warmer than normal. That way they can germinate and you'll have a good crop. So once you get your seed packets, what you want to do is you want to prepare your soil and make sure that that soil is really nice and worked up and it's fluffy. And so that way when you lay out the lines or you lay out the seeds in the garden, you make sure that those seeds have every opportunity to germinate. Then what you want to do is make sure that you give them adequate amount of moisture. And remember, we're in the heat of the summer, so they might require a little bit more moisture than what your spring crops did. So that way they can poke up through the soil and that soil doesn't crust over. Some of the crops that we have out there can actually be held over from the spring. What we have is we have some broccoli and we have some kale that was planted this spring. And both of those are either slow to bolt or is able to handle the heat of the summer. So these two can be left in the garden all year long. And then when you want to do your second crop or your fall crop, you can interplant in between those crops. So that gives you multiple seasons of interest with those two crops. And then with the other ones, what you want to do is you want to plant in there, make sure they're well watered, and enjoy the vegetables.